I'm Jacob, for those of you who don't know me. I just wanted to share a little bit about how God has moved in my life and my wife's life this past year, Alyssa. I grew up in church, in Christian home, but I never had a very deep relationship with God. To me, God was always something to believe in, very much like a religion. You know, he was a force. I know he loved and cared for me, but always seemed relatively distant. I knew it wasn't supposed to feel that way, but that had been my experience. So when my wife and I came to Gospel City, and I saw a very real God moving in very real ways in people's lives, I had to reevaluate how I viewed him. The biggest area I needed to reevaluate was in my relationship with prayer. I used to hate prayer. And I mean, I hated it. Why talk to God and ask God things when he already knew what we needed and he didn't seem all that interested in responding anyway? I had prayed so much growing up for God to alleviate and change aspects and temptations of my life. I found no change and no answers. I prayed for God to change my desires, to refocus my life, and I was left in wanting. But I quickly realized, I think coming here, that the main reason we pray is because God desires to hear our voice. He's not distant, and he does speak if we're willing to listen. I learned that often my relationship with prayer was directly related to my feelings about God's presence in my life. My view on prayer was wrong because my view on God was wrong. Since opening myself to experiencing God's presence in my life and praying in expectation of him, not in fear, I've seen him move in amazing ways. I remember getting into a rather violent argument with God in prayer about finances last year, only to be given an envelope by an anonymous stranger in this church 2 days later containing the very amount of money we needed. I remember being delivered by demonic forces that were straining my relationship with God, and was that a doozy. I remember accepting and embracing the gift of tongues in prayer, even though it was a gift I never wanted and I thought it was weird. I remember praying about big life changes and receiving visions and images from God that could not have come from my own mind, and hearing words spoken over me by members of this very congregation that they could not have known would impact me in the way that they did. Going back further, years ago, I remember being addled with drug addiction, locked in my room for weeks at a time, getting high, finding what I thought was freedom in drugs, what I thought was love and acceptance in the LGBT community, what I thought was real love in the beds of other men. And all that time, my parents, my family, the woman who would one day be my wife, my grandma who went to be with the Lord this morning with her hands in the air, prayed for me. And he answered them. It took a long time, but he answered them. And now I'm married to the most amazing woman in the world, and those days are behind me. And I still have a lot to work on, but it is proof. I'm living proof that God changes people and he answers prayer. God, in his loving kindness, has given me the ability to seek him in prayer more and more this past year. I I've prayed for healing over family members, something I would never do. Just this week, I prayed deliverance over a friend of mine. Growing the courage to pray for my own life has given me the courage to pray for others. God moves in times of prayer. He moves when we pray in desperation, when we pray in anger. When it's hard to pray and we don't want to, those are the prayers that tend to really matter. This year, I've learned that God delights to hear my voice. He is expectantly waiting to hear my cries and has taught me to expectantly wait for his reply. When I pray, I now pray in expectation, not in fear that he's going to be silent.